Alright, so the Galaxy S9 from Samsung just got unveiled at MWC yesterday, and I thought I'd make a video on it. I'm not sure if anyone really wants to see this, but here are my thoughts on the S9, S9 Plus, and whether you should pre-order them or not, in my personal opinion. Now, just to preface this, I haven't got the phone in my hand. I'm going off of the spec sheet, I'm going off of the announcement. I watched the whole thing live, and watching videos from YouTubers who do have access to the phone as a pre-production model. There were a lot of leaks, like a day before this thing came out. There were just huge leaks. I've got a video, like an old video, in 480p or something, of like the whole production and everything and the whole presentation before it came out the next day. I believe that Samsung is now probably the best at unveiling new products when it comes to the tech space, way better than Apple. Their presentation, the animations, the lighting, the sound, everything just looked absolutely phenomenal, and I was watching it through a live stream and I wasn't there in person. I'm sure it would have been absolutely amazing to go in person. The whole release kind of was a bit underwhelming because we'd kind of seen leaks since the S8 came out and we kind of knew what it was going to be like. We knew based on past kind of experience that this was going to be a bit of a refresh, not necessarily a brand new phone or a brand new design, and there are some aspects that make it kind of brand new, and I'll get into that. It's just not hugely different from the previous phone. So I want to talk about big changes first. Firstly, this is a big one to me, the fingerprint scanner. It moved kind of down and underneath the camera, which is good and that's better, but the main thing that differentiates this from the other one is that it's kind of more pronounced. The edges are more pronounced, and so it should be easier to find that fingerprint scanner without actually looking on the back, because it's more of a pronounced divot and it's a more obvious spot to put your finger. And of course on the Plus model it's further down the phone, making it a lot easier to activate. Then of course they focused a lot on iris scanners and face recognition, even more so than last time, because of course Face ID and OnePlus's Face ID kind of counterpart, meaning that they really needed to accentuate this because they have a really good fingerprint scanner, a really good iris scanner technology, although not the best, and a face unlock technology that is hopefully going to rival something like Face ID. And they did accentuate that you have a lot of options. You have a lot of options when it comes to unlocking your phone and you're not locked out. They did make a lot of Apple jokes in the presentation. Next is of course the dual camera on the Plus model. This is something that a peer, Alex Langley, I'll leave a link to his channel in the description, really good guy. He said this in a video that he doesn't like the Plus models featuring more features than the lower end model, which I can kind of agree with, because it's very difficult these days to find a good phone that is small and has all of the high end features, and this is just kind of making the market even more stagnant than it already is. And of course the biggest feature of all is that this thing has variable aperture. Now it's only two variable apertures, f1.5 and f2.4, but it's still one of the first phones ever to do this, which is really awesome. And it packs it into both the big and the small model, meaning you don't have to buy the Plus model to get this feature. And their idea is that f1.5 is going to give you some great low light. And I can't really say much about it without testing, but what I'm going to say is that f1.5 is a small aperture. In fact, I'm shooting at f1.2 right now, and that's a pretty small aperture. f1.5 is good, but the sensor is still very, very small, and so don't expect massive things from this. Don't expect to be able to shoot in the dark like an A7S Mark II or anything. Yes, they're really good software. Their camera processing chip as well that's going into this, as well as their large aperture and optical image stabilization, is going to give you some great low light photos. Just don't expect A7S II levels. Okay, so of course next is the Snapdragon 845 or the Exynos 9810. Both of these are going to be 8-core chips. They're going to give you really fast performance, but better than that, they're going to enable some really fast slow motion and some better frame rates and resolutions when it comes to the cameras. The small model is going to have 4 gigs of RAM, the big model is going to have 6 gigs of RAM. Personally, when you're spending this much money for a phone, I would kind of like to see 6 and 8, but there we go. The S9 Plus will feature 128 gigs of storage. The S9 will feature 64, so if you want the larger model, you get larger storage too. They both still feature micro SD card expansion, which is great. They also both have a headphone jack, which is awesome, and they both feature the IP68 water and dust resistance rating that was found in the previous two phones, which is perfect. They also like to talk about the new colors. There are 4 new colors, And yeah, that's basically it. I mean, they're okay. They kind of compete with the iPhone. They're a little bit more colorful, but at the end of the day, they're not bright green or bright yellow. So overall, they're not really that amazing. They also like to talk about their AR emoji, which is like making your own emoji based on your face. Don't know if anyone's really interested in that. Like I don't even use emojis, let alone an emoji or AR emoji. So take that for what you will. But yeah, it's part of the phone. So it'll probably be stuck to the S9 and S9 Plus. You probably won't get it on your older devices. With the cameras, you get 720p at 960 FPS, 1080p at 240 FPS, and 4K or UHD at 60 FPS. So it's interesting for you guys who want to shoot video, but at the same time, it's not something we haven't seen before in like Sony or Apple phones. The same battery sizes, which is a bit frustrating, but there we go. The bodies are slightly thicker, I believe. Apparently the edges are less sharp and everything, so hopefully that helps with the feel in the hand and the ergonomics. And the same screen sizes, the same screen resolutions, the same screen technologies. The front-facing camera is meant to be slightly improved, but not massively improved. Fast charging and wireless charging are both still there. The 64GB Galaxy S9 you can pre-order from Samsung for £740, and the 128GB S9 Plus you can pre-order for £870. It's not anywhere near as much as you're paying for the iPhone 10, but it's still creeping there, and I think the Galaxy Note 9 will reach that £1,000 mark. Alright, so that's it from me. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Hopefully I've kind of helped sway your decision. I personally think this is a bit underwhelming for a phone that costs this much money, but then again, it kind of makes my series and my channel a little bit more relevant because I'm more swayed towards buying used phones than I am buying new ones. So I want to thank Jay Brown for pledging on Patreon, as well as Ross Baldwin for pledging on Patreon. Please do like, dislike, comment, subscribe, do whatever you want. Support me on Patreon if you want. And yeah, follow me on social. It really helps, and we can start a conversation over there as well. Again, thank you so much for watching. This has been your boy Ryan Thomas with Failtech, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.